Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, my ongoing series where I go through every single Doctor Who episode from 1963 all the way up to 2022. And this time, we gotta talk about the Romans. It's another historical one, back to that whole format. And you know what? This is one I actually really like, even though I feel it's kind of a little bit inappropriate by today's standards. And I'll get into exactly why in just a minute. But first of all, let's start with how the episode starts. Great way to set the stage. The TARDIS lands halfway off the top of a cliff, dangling, and it falls, leave you in suspense, only to then reveal later in the episode that, oh no, the TARDIS crew is fine. They've just been living at some guy's house for a month. And the residents of the house have no idea about this. They just left town for who knows how long, might be dead, and yet the TARDIS crew is just hanging around there, just living off someone else's life. So yeah, that's an interesting way to start the episode, but it serves its purpose. It's one of those. What I love most about this particular part of this four-part serial is that it gives the characters time to be who they are. If you catch my meaning, they put the whole crisis and race against death stuff, and most importantly, alien monsters. They put all of that aside for this four-part serial, and specifically in the first part of it, it's just the characters living their lives day after day, eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, going to the market, shopping, and cleaning up the house, doing stuff like that. That certain things that you don't normally have time to do in these types of Doctor Who stories, especially in the modern series. You barely see the characters spending time at a certain place. There's always if you really look at some Doctor Who episodes, a lot of them really do take place in the course of several hours. We barely get to see the characters grow. And that's really one of the things I really appreciate about the classic series, and the fact that a lot of the episodes were this long, is that it gave the characters time to be who they are, and that's why they're such great characters, in my opinion. And obviously, couldn't stay away for long. We gotta talk about the actual plot of the episode, because yes, apparently there's a plot to all this. So the Doctor and Vicky decide to go to Rome. Ian and Barbara decide to stay, and obviously that really doesn't go as they planned. Ian and Barbara get attacked by bandits and slave traders, kidnap them and sell them into slavery. And so right there it sets the stage, and this is one of the things that I think the classic series did so much better than the modern series, is when they have multiple companions at once, they try to make sure to give every single companion their own unique story progression. So yeah, we get Ian being sold to slavery on a Roman galleon, crash lands on an island with a friend of his, going all the way back to Rome to try and save Barbara. Barbara, meanwhile, being sold to be a slave in Caesar Nero's court. And then you got the Doctor and Vicky doing their own thing as accepted members of Caesar Nero's court. And there's the whole assassination plot, conspiracy happening. And even Vicky does her own thing at one point or another with the two different types of poisons.
Oh, right. The poison. The poison for Cusco. The poison chosen specially to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison. That poison?
Yes, that poison.
Got you covered.
So yeah, there's a lot for each companion to do. A lot of the times, sadly to say, especially in the modern series, when they have lots of companions at the time, they don't really know what to do with some of them. So a lot of them just end up sharing the same type of story arcs with each other, which not always happens, but when it happens, it's sort of a downgrade for those particular companions. So yeah, obviously, I love the Doctor's playfulness all throughout the episode. I said this earlier in this part of the Doctor Who Revisited series. I think, even though I prefer the episodes and stories from Season 1 to Season 2, not all of them, of course, but I think season 2 is William Hartnell's best season as the Doctor. Even though, again, I think season 1 is the better season overall, William Hartnell really came into his own as the Doctor in season 2. And I've already started watching season 3, and I still stand by that point. Season 2 is where William Hartnell shines as the Doctor. We get to see so many different facets to his Doctor, especially in this episode where he pretends to be Maximus Potilian, who's both a talented, can't remember the name of the musical instrument that he used, but he's also a talented player, and also a Christian conspiracy assassin, uh, something or other. So yeah, he gets to play multiple roles. We get to see some action with him. He gets to fight some dude who tries to kill him and throw him out the window. So yeah, we get to see so many different sides to the Doctor, and we get to see his brilliance and genius really come to the surface many times all throughout the episode. I think as much as I love William Hartnell, or rather, as much as I love the Doctor in this episode, this is really just a Ian and Barbara episode through and through. This is they are my favorite First Doctor companions, and just one of my favorite companions of all time. And yes, I do consider them both as the same unit because you can't really think of one without thinking of the other. Even though they spent a majority of the episode separated. I loved Ian's storyline of from Roman Galleon to Gladiator to whatever, and I loved Barbara's storyline, making friends with what's his face. I can't remember the name of the character though. It's been a while since I've rewatched the episode specifically for this review. Probably should have done this a lot earlier, but I love her relationship with the guy that eventually buys her and brings her to Caesar Nero's court. I love the relationship between her, the sort of comedic love triangle between her, Caesar Nero, and his wife. And speaking of Caesar Nero, a really good example of a historical figure accentuated, if I use that word correctly. So yeah, obviously we all know Caesar Nero was not really the best person, but in this episode, and I apologize, I can't remember the name of the actor at the moment, but the way he portrays him in this episode is just a lot of fun. And again, it's something that goes back to something that I said earlier in my review of Marco Polo, that episode. It takes a serious figurehead like Kublai Khan and just accentuates him and makes him look much more ridiculous and goofy and I'm not gonna say lovable, but eccentric. I think that's really the word I would use. I love that he's such a bumbling character in everything that he does. And again, like I said earlier, there's some inappropriate scenes where he's just chasing Barbara around, which may or may not fly today in today's modern context. But again, remember, it's Caesar Nero. He's not supposed to be a good example of a fine, gentlemanly type person, okay? So that's why I loved those scenes of him chasing Barbara around the palace. And it was just funny. It was really funny. It's one of the funniest historical episodes in Doctor Who. And obviously it's one of those episodes that really just embody the balance that Doctor Who does so well. The balance between the comedy and the serious drama, real world stuff. Now, obviously, with the whole Christian conspiracy to kill the Emperor and Rome burning at the end of the final part, and just the feeling of terror and dread all throughout Ian and Barbara's storyline of whether or not they'll be able to escape slavery and survive and be reunited with the Doctor. And of course, by the end, all storylines really come together. All roads lead to Rome, I suppose, when Ian and Barbara happen to come back to the house before the Doctor and Vicky, and then the Doctor and Vicky just assume they've been there the whole time. It's one of those really funny moments from Doctor Who that's just, yep, of course it happened the way that it happened. And obviously, Barbara tries to explain it to Vicky in a different episode, but for right now, talking about this episode as its own isolated thing, they don't believe them, and well, it is what it is. What happened, happened. And even though Again, another scene that probably wouldn't fly today in today's modern context is the scene where Ian chokes Barbara after he gets mad. But considering what happened to him all throughout the episode, and considering it was all mainly Barbara's fault, and also considering he never actually meant to hurt her, this was again another part of their chemistry and their playfulness. It works. It works for the episode itself. So that's really all I can say about this episode. Again, really, really solid episode. I love it dearly. It's one of the better William Hartnell historical episodes, and it's just a really, really great Ian and Barbara story and a really good historical story, all things considered. So that's it. That's all I have to say about the Romans. And next time we're going to talk about probably my favorite episode in this season, but that is a story for another time. So I'll get to that once I get to it. So until then, everybody, goodbye. Hi there. Thank you for watching the video. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.